Hello, welcome to Wake Up Less Anxious with Jim. The goal of this podcast is that after listening to each short episode, you feel a little less anxious. If you're experiencing anxious thoughts, crippling doubts, and any uncomfortable feelings, this podcast is for you. Here, I will be sharing some quick and easy tips to deal with all your uncomfortable feelings. Promise, hindi siya mabigat because, dealing with anxiety is hassle enough as it is. So, it's going to be a light conversation, and I hope these tips will help. Please support by going to bit.ly/less anxious and joining our newsletter. Sup, mga anxifieds? Is that a cool thing? Anxifieds? Is that better than anxnatics? Please let me know. Share a story of this pod. Let me know if it's anxifieds or anxnatics. By the way, if you don't understand the reference of that shitty name, please listen to Wake Up with Jim and Saab, the best podcast in the universe with the greatest woman in the history of everything, Saab, my wife. Okay, for today's episode, what I'm gonna share with you is, again, pretty much I'm going to share every episode like one tool that I use. And I think a bunch of those tools come from stuff I've read, stuff I listened to. And this book actually has helped me a lot. So it's called How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole Lepera. Apparently, she's on Instagram and she does apparently I had no idea that sikat pala siya sa Instagram and she does all these posts with the quotes. But I do want to warn you guys na if you follow her, and it could be easily, the quotes that she uses and the images, whatever, it could be easily misused, especially if you don't read the book or you don't see where it's coming from. Because a lot of it actually is about trauma and trauma from parenting. Now, I don't think the objective, if you read the book, you'll understand the objective is not to say that our parents are horrible people. Okay, it's not meant to say that we have to get them back or they have to pay. Our parents were basically a product of their own trauma. Okay, but now again, I'm not talking about people who dealt with horrific parents and abusive, emotionally and physically abusive parents. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about like the traumas that I'll be sharing with you and the traumas that I'm sure that you have, because everyone has traumas and our parents definitely had traumas and they are products of that trauma. So parang, again, just to clarify, a non-abusive or non-asshole parent, but our parents were humans. They made mistakes. They were products of their own traumas from their parents. So, yeah. So, again, this is not meant to attack them. And I wish that people would actually read the books so that hindi to gamiting instrument na, my mom traumatized me, so I'll never talk to her again. I don't think that's the point. So, I just wanted to put that disclaimer. And anyway, what I wanted to talk about in this episode, again, like I always say, is awareness. Awareness is key. It's the great first step against having a really bad attack. And I think for someone like me who had a major traumatic incident, when we lost our daughter, Luna, I honestly thought that was like the only traumatic thing in my life. Okay. And it was only when I started reading this book that I kind of saw that, okay, there were subtle traumas that happened before, and then there's this one big incident that, that parang unlocked all these emotions, all these fears, all these really bad things. And anyway, I wanted to share like this part from the book that really, really resonated with me. And kaya I'm saying that it the tool that I want to share with you is yung awareness nga. And for me, knowing this about myself was a great step moving forward. Okay, it was a great step na okay, kaya pala ako ganito. Therefore, if nagkaka-issue ako, if I'm being anxious, I kind of get why I'm this way. And therefore, the cycle is not as bad. Okay? Because for in my case, my cycle is always I get anxious, I get hard, I become so hard on myself. I can't forgive myself. I'm not compassionate to myself. And therefore I have negative feelings. I'm sad. So ganon yung cycle ko. Or the other cycle, which I talked about in the previous episodes, is I have anxious thoughts. I distract myself. I temporarily take away that anxiety, but it builds up for the long run. And that's why I just keep getting anxious. So anyway, if you connect with this or not, I just want to let you know na maybe trying to understand yourself more. Check this book out because we all have traumas. Now, it might be different from what I'm gonna read to you now. Pero ang point ko is, how else can we manage our anxiety? I recommend the Mind You platform. That's genuinely reshaping how we approach mental wellness. They offer low-cost talk therapy sessions, but what I really appreciate is that Mind You offers a free toolkit for your mental well-being. From a community forum to a guided journal, a mood tracker, and even educational podcasts and articles, Mind You is a game changer in making professional help reachable and accessible. Download the Mind You app from the App Store or Play Store and explore a world dedicated to mental wellness. It might be different from what I'm going to read to you now. Pero ang point ko is, that's a great first step. Okay? Trying to get to know yourself better, trying to relive things that you didn't think were traumatic. It's such a powerful experience. So in the book, it talks about emotional addiction. And I did not realize until I read this that I had this. And what's an example of this? Si Saab, she knows that when I am not stressed, I'm stressed. Okay, so if there's nothing that I'm trying to solve, or I'm not anxious about anything, or I'm not like, I feel like I'm in danger, I therefore feel like I'm in danger. And the book says emotional addiction, supposed to feel unpleasant and dangerous. And for those stuck in the loop of emotional addiction, the rush feels good. It might be the only time we feel anything at all. Our body responds to those feelings by releasing hormones such as cortisol and neurochemicals such as dopamine, blah, 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 blah. We now need to seek out the same kind of emotional hit again and again. Even if an emotion makes us stressed or sad, it often feels familiar and safe because it provides the same type of release that we experience as children. In my childhood home, for example, stress and fear ruled. Those feelings bound us together and provided a stand-in for emotional intimacy, which was largely absent. Okay. For Filipino families, and Filipino families being raised as Catholics, being raised in Catholic schools where if you make a mistake, I will stone you to death. Kung ganun yung culture and yung environment. A lot of us, I'm sure, have experienced this. And tayo mga Pinoy, yun nga. That's why it says here nga, your body becomes so accustomed to the adrenaline, cortisol, and other powerful hormonal responses that you unconsciously seek them in adulthood to repeat the emotional baseline established in childhood. Without them, I felt bored and agitated. That's why I would nitpick when things were calm in my romantic relationships, throw myself into a panic about upcoming work I was tasked to complete, or push myself into a state of anxiety while trying to unwind and relax. My body was feeling uncomfortable and pulling me back into the familiar stress of my childhood. Now, another thing that I think I resonated with here is that ever since nga I had that major traumatic incident with Luna. Whenever I feel like the sea has calmed down, the waves have calmed, my body kind of gets into a shock, and therefore I freak out, I panic, and the cycle continues. So therefore what I do is to just distract myself with work. I distract myself um with another stress, another type of stress. Okay, so for example, when we're on vacation, that's when the first vacation we ever had since we had Pancho and Vito was the time when my anxiety really came up. Like talagang the full-fledged physical manifestation of it. I've talked about this on Wake Up with Jim and Saab, but yeah, we were at a wedding. My fingers started, I couldn't feel anything in my fingers. My body was numb for like 3 days and I didn't know what to do. Went to the hospital. Anyway, and it was because things were finally calm. Like the kids just came home from a really tough hospital stay. It was anyway. It was just wave after wave. So the incident when we lost our baby, and then a few months later we were pregnant with Vito, and because we had trauma of our previous pregnancy, we were like, oh my god, all hands on deck for 9 months. Vito was born, and then 1 month in, the two boys go to the hospital. Okay, and then few months after, like 2 months after that, na medyo chill, we took a vacation, and then that's where I lost it. So, anyway, ano bang point ko? You may not connect with anything that I've said, but two things I want you to know. Na one, na like it's sometimes it's just nice to hear that someone deals with a lot of shit, and obviously I do, and to know that you're not alone. And then number two, awareness is the first step. Knowing these things in the moment, pretty cool, nice to know, but it's actually a great investment for the long run because you can keep going back to this home base. And when you keep going back to previous behaviors, or parang if you keep succumbing to triggers, then at least you know that you are succumbing to those triggers. You know that oh shit, this is a bad habit and I'm doing it again. So yun, it'll help you stay grounded. So yun, again, hope you guys, I hope this helped, and you have a good day today. And please subscribe to the newsletter bit.ly/less anxious. And share this pod, tag me on Instagram. Thank you.